I've got a little French bulldog. Her name is Adeline. It's a French name. I wanted to name her Avis after we got some extra insurance money from a collision from a lady shoplifting at Walmart. Long story, don't want to talk about it. But we came up with Adeline. And I've talked to this little French bulldog before, but I've never really expected a response back. If she did, I hope she did speak in perfect French, but it's never happened, and if it did, I'd be freaking out. Now, in Numbers 22, we have a strange story about a talking donkey. Let's continue our July 4 Stranger Things in the Bible in honor of July 4th and the new episode, or rather season full of episodes of Stranger Things that releases today. Okay, in Numbers 22, we've got a strange story, a stranger thing that involves a talking donkey and basically like a guy who you could consider a really powerful Gandalf the Grey. So the people of Israel were on this conquest. They just got done literally crushing the Amorites. Long story short, they're on this like military conquest that's being recorded in the first part of Numbers. Now they get to a part of the Jordan where they all settle down, they're camping, they're just going on to the next conquest that's in front of them, which happens to be Moab. Now this city, Moab, has a king. His name is Balak, and he's freaking out because he knows what this ensuing force has done to the Amorites, so he's like, we got to call in some help. He's looking for trolls, flaming tar balls, catapults, and he even, develops into the dark arts a bit, and he conjures a sorcerer named Balaam. Sorry, not Balin, not Baleen. Baleen is what is in whales' teeth, essentially, are made of baleen to filter out shrimp and, never mind, Balaam, okay? His name is Balaam. And the only way I can really explain to you about Balaam, the best way for you to understand it, is if you've ever seen Lord of the Rings, he's sort of like Gandalf the Grey. He is the guy that is being called in to step out into the army and the Moab army in between, in that pass, and he's going to put his staff in the ground, and he's going to conjure sorcery, and he's going to say, "You shall not pass." Remember that part? That was amazing. That's what he's going to do. He's Gandalf. You shall not pass. This is what's going to happen. So this king, in Numbers 22, Balak, says, I'm going to pay you some cash. I want you to go put a curse on this army, the people of Israel, because they are going to come and just basically wipe me out like they did the Amorites. Now remember, Noah, in our previous episode of our July 4 Stranger Things in the Bible, blessing and cursing. There was this idea where you could bless, you could curse, you could speak over people and, literally countries, blessings and curses. Words have such great power. That's why James talks about words being in the tongue. It's the power of life and death in Proverbs. And you can really even see that in the public school assembly that I do for Painting Hope. Painting Hope works with public schools all over the world, and I have a specific program about words of life that challenges students to do that. Use words not as weapons, but as keys to unlock new realities for each other. Because what we say matters. This king knew this centuries ago. And Balak called Balaam, this Gandalf, to come put a curse on this ensuing army. So he says, okay, Balaam says, I'm going to go have a chat with this Israelite God, this Yahweh that they refer to. I'm going to go talk to him. I'm going to see if he gives us permission. So him and God have this chat. It's recorded in Numbers 22. And God's like, sorry, man, it's not going to happen. These people are blessed. I blessed him. I'm the big God. You think I'm just a little g, but I'm the big G. I'm the OG. I am the G. And Balaam's like, all right, it's not going to happen. He goes back to Balak and he says, hey, Balak, I talked to God, the Yahweh God, the big God apparently, the number of gods of any other God, but he says it's not going to happen. He says they're blessed. And Balak, the king, is like, oh, I see what this guy's doing. He just wants more cash. He wants me to pay him more for this product of sorcery. So then Balaam's like, all right, well, thanks for the extra cash. I'll go check again tomorrow and see if God changed his mind. So just like chill here for the night and then we'll do it again. So God and Balaam chatted again. And God said, well, if you're really going to push the issue here, you can go and I'll let you go, but you are only going to do what I tell you to do. If you're going to do this, you're going to do it my way. So the next day, the angel of the Lord is in the pass. Like almost, it's like a bigger Gandalf the Grey at this point. And there's a louder, all caps, with emoticons, you shall not pass in Scripture. So Balaam isn't going to be allowed to go where he's going to go, do these blessing and cursings over the army. God opposed him in his path. There's this roadblock. Now the donkey that Balaam is riding, here's where it gets strange. This donkey freaks out. This donkey tries to move to the left, breaks Balaam's foot. Balaam beats the snot out of it, curses it. He's yelling at it, you stupid donkey. And then the donkey actually comes a little bit further on the path, lays down, just crumbles, like just, I'm not going any further. And every time the donkey gets beat. This happens 3 times. And then the strangest thing happens in Numbers 22. The Lord opens the donkey's mouth. And the donkey freaking talks. And he says, what have I done to you up to this point? And, you know, if you've ever seen the movie Shrek, you know that donkey is Eddie Murphy. In the morning, we're making waffles. Come on, Shrek. I want to be your friend. That donkey. I just want to tell you right now, like, I just hope that if we ever saw this, that is, hey, what have I done up to this point? Okay, you know what I'm talking about? Anyways, the Lord opens the donkey's mouth and he speaks. A little bit later in Numbers, the Lord opens Balaam's eyes. So what was happening was this angel of the Lord, a more powerful Gandalf the Grey, if you will, was standing in the way saying, you shall not pass. And this other Gandalf, Balaam, was trying to get through the pass. And the donkey could see the angel of the Lord, but Balaam couldn't. And so the Lord opens the donkey's mouth to have this conversation with Balaam, and then the Lord opens Balaam's eyes so he can see this angel of the Lord that's in his way. Now this story continues, and to read this story isolated from the rest of the preceding and the chapters that will come after this would be to bankrupt this portion of Scripture. Needless to say, this is just one of the accounts of many accounts that this carries out. But I want to pause here just for a second to remind you all and myself of maybe this truth that I see here in this stranger thing in this story. That God will work with anyone and anything at any point. Let me explain to you. God opens a donkey's mouth. First of all, God is conversing and using as an instrument this other side of the tracks, the Capulet when there's Montagues, the Jets when there's the Sharks, the Minnesota Viking when it's the Packer Nation. It's this other side prophet, the Babylonian dark side. God is using Balaam. God is using a donkey, the lowest of the low. the thing that would be not usable. God can use anything and anyone he desires. One of my pastor friends, Pastor Dale Oakwis, sums this up like this. He says, God simply animates. He can animate anything he chooses. Now, I always have thought about it like this. When it comes to seeing the things accomplished that are in your life, I want you to think about maybe a dream, maybe staying married, maybe accomplishing a degree, maybe just getting through high school, maybe whatever that maybe is. You got to have the right knowledge and get the right action, and you get the right result. It's like if you're going to start a fire in the woods, you got to have the right knowledge and take the right action to get actually fire going. It's like if you swim, you got to know how to swim, but then you got to take the right action in the water so you can swim. You interchange any one of these things with the wrong knowledge, with the right action, you get the wrong result. If you have the right knowledge, but the wrong action, or the right action but the wrong knowledge, you're going to get the wrong result. You got to have the right action with the right knowledge to get the right result in whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. But what strikes me about this story is that's not true with God. God can use and works with anyone or anything. Someone who's really steeped in the wrong actions with the wrong knowledge, God can use for the right result. The wrong circumstances, the wrong happenings, the wrong choices, God can defy logic, defy the formula, and get the right result. That's because God works with anyone or anything. Now, it's always said like, oh, that happens for a reason. Let's just use one example. Like somebody has a tragedy that strikes their life, and then all of a sudden, there must be a reason for that. No, you know what? Some things are just a damned tragedy, to be truthful. But God can make reasons for anything. But not everything happens for a reason. Why? Because God can work with anyone or anything to get the right result. In our human characteristics, our human finiteness, our inability to really do what God can do, we have to have the right action and the right knowledge to get the right result. But God can use any action and any knowledge to accomplish his right results. I love how the donkey's mouth is opened. So the second thing I just want to point out was the fact that Balaam's eyes were opened. And I think we need to open our eyes. We all do. Every single one of us needs to open our eyes to the reality that there is no us versus them. There's only us. Recently, I posted a picture on my Instagram about the calamity that's happening in Venezuela with just a simple link to what World Vision was doing. I love World Vision, Food for the Hungry, Compassion, Convoy of Hope, Feed One. I could go down the list of literally hundreds of missions that are absolutely changing the world. And if they were removed from the world would be a complete different place. And I posted on there that you should help. This is what's happening. 4 million Venezuelans and everything that's happening. And a person posted a comment that could have been us if Bernie was our president. And that kind of us versus them thinking, that flawed concept in humanity is plaguing us as people. We keep thinking there's an us and a them, but there is no us versus them. There is only us. And somehow along the way, we have lost the ability to have healthy, open, public discourse in a private place that's now public in the form of social media, and our disagreement with someone automatically equals our opposition to that someone. If you are not for them, then by default, in a culture of offense, you are automatically opposed to them. This is the lie that the us versus them fruit grows into. The us versus them idea gives birth to the way that our disagreement automatically it offers opposition. That when you hold a different perspective than someone, that you're automatically their enemy. We need to open our eyes. Balaam, this other Gandalf, this other prophet against God, had his eyes opened. We need to open our eyes. We all do. Every single one of us, whether you are a follower of Christ or whether you are a follower of a different religion, you need to open your eyes. If you are a functioning or a dysfunctional in your closet heterosexual, or if you are part of the LGBTQQIP2SAA plus movement, you need to open your eyes. There's no us versus them. We got to stop combating each other, where there's like this idea where people are somehow the enemy. We got to stop cocooning away from each other, where we have to avoid each other at all costs. We got to stop like putting ourselves in a situation where we just become each other. And there is a beautiful thing called unity in diversity. We don't need to be colorblind. We need to be color rich. We don't need to all be chameleons. But we do all need to compassionately non-conform. This is the reason why the way of the Christ is so compelling. He offered the fourth way, not combat, not blending in, not avoiding, but compassionately non-conforming. This compassion, it's actually empathy in action. It's an active movement. It's love in motion. And if you want to know what love is, go to Corinthians and read about what love is, how it's patient, how it's kind, how it keeps no record of wrong. If we all lived like that, the world would be a different place. Open your eyes to the truth and compassionately non-conform. You can stand somewhere. You can believe something different than someone else, but it doesn't automatically make you their enemy. This idea is plaguing both sides of any issue, and we need to open our eyes, have love in action, and stand on the truth. In my case, it's the truth of the Christ. It's a Judeo-Christian underpinning. It's that tradition that I am rooted and founded in. But we got to open our eyes. There is no us, there is no them. Numbers 22 is a strange story about an ensuing army and a king that freaks out, that actually conjures up a Gandalf the Grey named Balaam that's against the God from Babylonian Empire, and he actually has a conversation with Yahweh. Yahweh tells him you can't go, and then he says, I'll let you go, but you gotta only do what I tell you to do. The donkey speaks to its owner. God opens the donkey's mouth because God can use anything, anywhere, anytime. And he defies our right actions and our right knowledge, and he can get the right result anytime he decides he wants to do it. Powerful God. And at the same time, Balaam's eyes are opened, and that's my challenge for me, is that I don't see the world as us versus them. I just see the world as us. And I can see the mystery that's been standing there all along. Numbers 22, it's one of those stranger things.